Call 667-6744. That's 667-6744.
Find advice for both daily and traditional leagues, including which players to start and sit with the NFL Fantasy Forecast. Saturday mornings at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day is on.
Presented by your local Super Chevy dealers and Home Bank. Good for business, good for life.
This is LSU football.
Stands in the pocket, throws the football, caught! Inside the 10, Malik Neighbors! Touchdown, Fighting Tigers! Daniels, again, design run, goes left, cuts back right, gets to the 5, tries to stretch it towards the pylon, he's into the end zone! Touchdown, Fighting Tigers!
LSU football on Eagle 98.1, the flagship home of the Tigers. Today,
Live from the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl in Orlando.
it's the LSU Tigers.
And the Purdue Boilermakers.
Now,
Here's Charles Sandegriff and Matt Musso.
Good morning and Happy New Year from Rouse's right here, Burbank and Lee. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Sandegriff along with Matt Musso and our entire staff as we walk you up to the kickoff of today's Cheez-It Citrus Bowl between LSU and Purdue. The Tigers come in with a record of 9-4, 6-3 in the Southeastern Conference, and champions of the SEC Western Division. It was, by any measure, a very successful first season for Brian Kelly, one that he hopes to cap off today by winning LSU's 10th game of the season. It seems like a long time ago that LSU kicked off the season in the Superdome with a disappointing loss to Florida State. However, the Tigers ran off 4 in a row after that disappointment before running into a Tennessee team that had a ton of steam and a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback at the time. But following the loss to Tennessee, LSU would embark on their most successful stretch of the season, winning at Florida, at home against then undefeated Ole Miss team, before the most exciting game of the season, a 32-31 overtime win against Alabama, in which a 2-point conversion was the difference in the ballgame. The Tigers got a hard-fought win at Arkansas the following week to clinch the SEC West and a chance to play in the SEC championship game. Following a win against UAB, the Tigers ran out of gas in College Station, especially against the run, and fell to Texas A&M. Georgia proved too much in the Southeastern Conference championship game, winning that one 50-30. Taken overall, though, Matt, you look at what was expected of this team, what Brian Kelly inherited a year ago today, by the way, at the Texas Bowl, where he had considerably fewer players than he will have at his disposal today. And again, I'll repeat it, by any measure, this was a successful first season.
For sure, 100%. I mean, I think if you would have told anybody, even maybe the most ardent LSU supporters, that they're going to have a chance to win 10 games, they'll be playing in Atlanta, you would have told them that after week 1, you would have gotten a lot of funny looks. But that's what happened, and we've been on the journey with them. It'd be nice to finish it out today. I think everyone here locally who's followed the team all year understands what a successful season it has been, but you don't want to end it with 3 L's to close it out and look at that going into 2023. So getting the 10th win is important.
A lot of parallels between the Purdue season and the LSU season, going again all the way back to last year. The Boilermakers started out the season like LSU did, with a disappointing but close loss against Penn State. They also had another non-conference loss to Syracuse, in which Matt lost a bunch of money. But got in
Thanks, Annie. Thanks for bringing that up.
I just remembered that game we were watching.
Me too.
But then Purdue got on a run in the early part of October and into November and found themselves in position to be in the Big Ten championship game. Wins against Northwestern and Indiana locked it up. And then when they got into the Big Ten championship game, kind of like LSU, a little bit outmanned in a 43-22 loss to Michigan. Purdue finished the season at 8-5 and 6-3 in the league. Here's the other similarities to Purdue and LSU from a year ago. A year ago, LSU did not have a their starting quarterback in the game, and Purdue will not have their starting quarterback in today's game. LSU was down a multitude of players. Purdue is without their top 2 pass catchers, their top quarterback, and 2 of their top defenders. They're also without their head coach. Jeff Brom left for his alma mater, Louisville, right at the start of the hiring cycle. His brother Brian will be the interim coach today. Much like LSU a year ago, the man that will be taking over will not be the coach on the sideline this afternoon. So for Purdue, a chance to, I guess, put their best foot forward for the new coach, much like LSU was trying to impress Brian Kelly a season ago. LSU came up short in that game against Kansas State. For Purdue, the odds are similar. LSU a 15-point favorite entering today's game.
Yeah, I mean, it kept going up, right? With each domino that fell for Purdue, it kept going up. Oh, Jeff Brom's out. Okay, now it's 10. Okay, now Aiden O'Connell's out. Now it's 14. Like you said today, up to 15. Also, Hanny, Jeff Brom's already taken some assistants with him that won't coach in this game, and there's more on this staff that when this game is over are planning to pack their bags and head to Louisville. So Drew Brees on the sideline now, or I guess in the booth for Purdue. A lot of interesting similarities, a lot of interesting angles between these two teams today.
It was interesting to see Drew Brees at a coach's press conference. And it will be interesting to watch him and what influence he has today. He's not playing quarterback. That would be a much
I was about to say, thank goodness.
That would be a much bigger problem for LSU. We've got our staff here and also in Orlando, so we'll give you all the angles on today's game. We're at Rouse's. Download the mobile app for free curbside pickup. That's here at Rouse's, corner of Burbank and Lee. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day, Skull Session.
Offense, presented by Gulf Coast Bank. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you. Now, here's Charles Hannegriff.
And from the LSU Sports Radio Network,
Gordy Rush.
And we start our day going down to Orlando. Gordy Rush will be on the sidelines today, where the temperature is expected to be 78 degrees and the sun is shining. So a definite difference from the final regular season game of the season. Gordy, good morning. How are you?
Doing fantastic. It's been a really nice week down here in Orlando. Plenty of good weather. I know it's been rainy and a little yucky at home, but I think all in all, this team had a good week of practice. Had a good time here at the bowl game. They'll be ready to play today.
Gordy, I was putting together notes for this game, and my first thought was I need to go put the lineup down on paper because ordinarily I can do this stuff out of my head, but I said, let me see who's there and who's not. And I think in my head the idea was, man, there's going to be a bunch of guys. So since we're starting on the offensive side going through there, and I know Keyshawn Boutte has been a story, but besides him, the rest of this offense is basically intact. Jaden Daniels is going to start at quarterback. You've got all your running backs ready to go. You've got the rest of the receivers ready to go. Your offensive line is intact. Your tight end is there. There's not a ton of depth, but I think that if you look at LSU's offensive lineup, it's, again, with the exception of Boutte, it's pretty similar to what they put on the field against A&M in Georgia.
Yeah, in fact, I had a chance to talk to Coach Mike Denbrock 2 days ago when they had the coordinator press conference, and he was excited because this is as healthy as they've been. They've got some folks that they can rotate on the offensive line. Daniels is they're both saying both Daniels and Denbrock, he's at 100%. So offensively, I think this is a huge favor for LSU, especially when you look at the people that Purdue, they've lost their 3 of their top 5 players have opted out or transferred or hit the transfer portal. So this when LSU has the football, it definitely favors the Tigers.
All right, let's talk about Jaden Daniels because he had a decision to make whether he was going to come back or move on. That decision came down a couple of weeks ago. And, I think it sets up LSU very well, not only for today, but going into next year. For Daniels, the thing, Gordy, all season has been when he has let the ball fly, the good things have happened. And when he's held on to the ball too long, that's where the offense is bogged down a little bit. I'm assuming Josh Williams is completely healthy today, and so that will certainly aid him. But this is going to be the question with Daniels from today all the way to when they play in that stadium again next September is, will he be that dedicated down-the-field passer to complement the run game that he does so well?
Yeah, 100%. And Charlie, last game out, the SEC championship, probably threw the football well because he had to throw the football because he was playing on that bum ankle. He planted his feet and went through his reads, and that was the Jaden Daniels that we saw at times this season. And then there were times where I thought he looked anxious, a little antsy in the pocket. He left his progression early and would look for a hole to run the football a little bit or whatever whatever the issue is. And Charlie, we talked about this on your Handycast, that we're not in those meeting rooms. I'm not on the headphones to understand what's going on. But I think one of the reasons for coming back is more consistency doing that, planting your feet, throwing the football, and doing the things that you did well against Florida, against Ole Miss, against Alabama that got you the back-to-back SEC Offensive Player of the Week.
Gordy, in a normal game like this, I wouldn't ask about the backup quarterback, but because Daniels is coming off of an injury and because Garrett Nussmeier did some nice things in the SEC championship game, I'm going to ask you if you think that there is any plan to I'm going to use the word guarantee Nussmeier some playing time in today's game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's been lobbied around, and they've been tight. I saw practice down in Baton Rouge before coming up here, and it was Daniels with the 1s, Nussmeier with the 2, and that means absolutely nothing. They're not going to show much in practice. I don't know that that's the situation. Everything that being around Coach Kelly and the staff this week, they're focused on winning the game, getting the 10 wins, and I think that's first and foremost. They're here to win this thing. When
we flip over and in the next segment and do defense, there'll be plenty of guys that I can name that I want to see today that or in a different position, or maybe haven't gotten to play very much. On offense, I don't know if I've got a prime candidate, so I'll ask you, is there somebody that's going to get an opportunity today that maybe didn't have as much of an opportunity, either at that position or just in general during the regular season?
No, I don't know. Nobody offensively jumps out at me. And one of the surprise mentions I've heard this week, it has been that John Emery has had a really good week of practice. And, you know, we've seen good John Emery in the Alabama game where he ran wild, and we've seen him put it on the ground a couple times. So I'm interested to see what role he plays today.
I'm anxious to see what his future is. He's still there. He could be back here next year. He could be at another school. He could try to put himself into the NFL draft and go there. He's got a decision to make following the game. And before anybody says, well, if he's not starting at LSU, how could he play in the NFL? I would just tell you that there have been other players that have not started at LSU and have played in the NFL and, you know, had a career at the next level. So it's happened before. Gordy, we're kind of doing a whole big picture, wide-angle lens on the season here today during the pregame show. So you tell me, from that game in the Superdome to the game now on the offensive line, man, we came out of that first game going, whew, they got a ways to go. It stabilized there early in October and really got going the rest of the season.
Yeah, you know, for me offensively, I think that they found an identity and found a definition of who they wanted to be with Daniels. And I think that was the key part. Well, two parts. I think that offensive line that was young and inexperienced, how could they help them out, and what was the best situation to put Daniels in? And I think they wanted to be a running, a 12 personnel running team, play action pass, and the offensive line was getting blitzed, and they couldn't hold up, as we saw against Florida State. And what they did is they were able to spread the football field a little bit more and utilize Daniels in the run game, get him out on the edge, make the defenses guard sideline to sideline. And with a short, high percentage passing game, they were really tough to stop in the middle of the football season. So I think they evolved. I think Mike Denbrock did a nice job with a lot of new pieces, and they became fun to watch when they were clicking.
We'll take a break. We'll come back and flip sides, talk about the LSU defense against the Purdue offense. That is next here from Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care. It's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Skull Session.
Defense. Presented by Edward Jones, making sense of investments. Now here's Charles Hannegren.
And from the LSU Sports Radio Network,
Gordy Rush.
And we return here at Rouse's, corner of Burbank and Lee. Get back down to Orlando. Gordy Rush standing by. All right, Gordy, when we went to put together the defensive depth chart, this was a little bit tougher. No B.J. Ojulari today, no Jaquelin Roy today, no Ollie Gay today, no Mekhi Garner today. So four solid starters, guys that have been there all season, are not going to be in the fold today. Let's start up front with the defensive line. Mekhi Wingo is the only starter that will be in the lineup today. Jacoby and Guillory will play the other defensive tackle. We've seen some of him. Thought we would see a little bit more of him, but we've seen some of him. And then at the defensive ends, Savion Jones, who has played a good bit this season and certainly is going to be a strong candidate to start next year, is at one defensive end. The other defensive end is Mike Jones, who began the year as a starting linebacker, kind of fell out of the lineup and didn't get a whole lot of defensive playing time, or got less playing time as the season went along. He's going to be at that rush end on the other side.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to put a hyphen. I think you're going to see Harold Perkins there. I think you're going to see him in a lot of places against Purdue. Look, I think you add Quincy Wiggins into that rotation. He's going to play a little bit there. They've moved Fitzgerald West over from the offensive line for some depth again. And so what I look at when I see that defensive line and everything that I'm hearing reading between the lines here is this is going to be an attacking defensive plan today. They're going to be much quicker and much faster up there. They really like Wiggins and what he brings now that he's healthy. And of course, if Perkins plays the jack linebacker where Ojulari is, then you really get elite with he and Jones on the other side there. I think the concern is the running game for me in this one because Purdue is got Austin Burton, the quarterback that's going to play today. He started one game. Big kid. He walked by me 3 days ago over there at the press conference. He's a good 6'3". Only started one game here, maybe 2.5 years ago at UCLA. But he's a dual threat guy. He can move around a little bit. And McAbee's a walk-on running back they had that had 920 yards on the season. Really didn't get a lot of play till the fifth game of the season. I got to imagine we're going to see a little bit of spread the run out of Purdue to speed down this LSU defense, or try to slow down, rather, this LSU defense.
Gordy, there's nobody I'm more excited to see today than Quincy Wiggins, number 93.
Yeah.
I remember going out to the early practices and looking at him and just the physical presence that he had. Now, the injuries, he had that scooter accident in the offseason. He had some injuries, and he never really got to the point where he could play a lot. But what you saw, at least what I saw in August, was some flashes of a guy who could be a really tremendous football player. He looked to me, Gordy, I'll make this comparison, he looked so much like a young Tyson Jackson to me. When Jackson got to LSU, he was about the size Wiggins is now, about 6'5", 275 pounds. And, of course, Jackson got a lot bigger, played a long time in the NFL. House talked a little bit about, well, we think he's an end, but who knows, he could move the inside, play the 5 technique. Wherever you want to play him, I think the guy's got a tremendous future.
No, absolutely. And I look forward to looking at this. This is the future of this defensive front. You mentioned Wiggins. I thought Seven Jones came on as the season went on. He gave. They used him in sub packages on 2nd and long, 3rd and long. He can get after the quarterback. Of course, with your inside linebackers who have nice seasons, they bring a lot of speed to the table. Jones can run. We hadn't seen a whole lot of Jones. He can run, so I'm figuring they're going to get after Purdue a little bit. So I'm looking forward to some of the players up in the front 7 today and how they get after the Boilermakers.
The other thing that we'll see today is Jay Ward playing primarily at cornerback. Now, Ward is declared for the draft. He's a senior, but he had a COVID year. He decided to go pro, but he also decided to play in the bowl game, which maybe is a little bit unusual. What are we looking at, not only from Ward playing at cornerback, but the rest of the secondary, how it shakes out?
Well, they return with most of the folks intact. I think one with Ward, I think it's the opportunity against a team like Purdue, which you figure that they're geared to throw the football. That's what they've done the majority of the season. So you're going to get chances. You're going to get a good game film. And if I'm Ward, to me, he's going to play that nickel on the next level. This can only help him getting some good film out on the edge and shows versatility for the NFL. I'm interested to see Seven Banks out there. He had a chance to practice a little bit during some of the bowl games, and you're more familiar with all the rules. Who knows what the rules are anymore? I mean, the bowl games is an exhibition, and is he going to get a little bit of play? Last we saw him, I believe, was down on that kickoff against Mississippi State, if I'm not mistaken. Safeties are intact. So I think LSU is going to be really good on the back end, and if they're going to be athletic and quick up front, they're going to bring pressure. Might see more man and more opportunities to lock down receivers than we usually do.
This would be a good time to review the rule. And what the NCAA did as far as playing here is a few weeks ago, they basically made the bowl game, they waived that counting against you as far as the red shirt. So, and that matters for a guy like Wiggins. If they had not waived that rule, Wiggins wouldn't play today. And by the way, not for nothing, if these bowl games are going to survive in the 12-team playoff era, they're going to have to make concessions to give these schools a chance. Listen, the transfer portal's not going anywhere. Players are going pro. They don't want another situation. I don't think they shouldn't want another situation like what LSU was faced with last year, where they had a wide receiver playing quarterback because the other quarterback's red shirt was in play there. I think that should be a permanent waiver. Hopefully that'll get done in the offseason. But let's talk about Purdue for a second. They are not down as many players as LSU was last year, but there are some similarities in that they're going through a coaching change. And the incoming coach, Ryan Walters, who's a defensive coordinator at Illinois, is not coaching today's game. Brian Brom is. Jeff Brom has left for Louisville. So you tell me, from a staff standpoint, what Purdue looks like today.
Yeah, I don't know. I talked to you offensively. I think that they used Burden in some. He started that game against Florida Atlantic, which really wasn't that impressive. They won 28-26, and they were 1-2 going into that game after losing to Syracuse. O'Connell was a late scratch, and they just got by over Florida Atlantic. Defensively, it's a mystery. They lost 3 of their top 5 players that moved on to the bowl game, especially on the defensive front, and then the whole staff's gone. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's making a deal about Drew Brees. Well, they need Drew Brees because you got GAs and analysts that are coaching position groups. And so they sent to the coordinator press conference, they sent Drew Brees. And so,
he can handle the media. I've seen him do it. Yeah, he's pretty good at that.
No, he's pretty good at doing so. So, I mean, I think that, what are they going to be able – the fear on the Purdue Riders are that LSU is just going to out-physical them in the second half, much the way that Michigan did. They hung around for a half in that Big Ten championship game, and then after that they lost their best players. Jalen Graham and Corey Tice are both left, opted out, and hit the transfer portal. So without those guys there, they feel like Purdue's going to struggle defending LSU's physicality and run game in the second half.
Just out of curiosity, has Walters, the new coach, been visible? Been there? Is he there at all? I have to ask that question because at Louisville, Scott Satterfield, when they played Cincinnati, he didn't even go to the game. So, has he been visible?
I want to see. I want to say somebody from our party saw they've had a couple joint events. I believe he's here, but he's obviously not active. And much like Brian Kelly didn't want to touch the Houston Bowl, it's too tough of a situation to turn around and get involved with. But I thought I was told he was here.
Yeah, I'm wondering, a year ago, Kelly was very low profile, and it seems like in these situations, we see more and more of them every year, that the new coach just wants to come in and get a wide-angle look at the whole thing, but does not want to be involved. It's too late in the process to get there. It's kind of been the MO, and then Satterfield just stayed home because he was playing against his old team. So he just did the video. He just did the video conference. He said, "Forget about it." So I don't know. Just kind of trying to get a feel.
I think you're in the way. That's the problem. Brad Davis was running that team, and the message was coming from Brad Davis, and coach had really not intervened too much. And then you've got the whole task of, you got to re-recruit one reason you got to re-recruit your players. You've got that going on here. You're still putting together a staff. There's plenty of things I think that take higher priority than winning a bowl game on a team that you weren't the coach of the prior year.
All right. Last thing. This is 10 wins if LSU gets this today. I get different opinions on what that means. Some people think it's a great big deal. Some others not as much. What does 10 wins mean for LSU today? Your opinion?
Well, look, I think 10 wins in the SEC, I think is a big deal in this day and age, and it's going to be even bigger going forward when this league goes to 9 games. I think it's going to be tougher to get to 10 wins, but I think it is quite an accomplishment, especially now that you're a 15-point favorite here. And this is a game you should win. When you look at Purdue on paper, they did not play the most difficult of schedules. They got an easy draw in the Big Ten from the other side. They did play Penn State early. It was okay, but they got Maryland and Indiana in that draw, so it really wasn't the toughest of schedules. LSU is the better football team here. To get 10 wins to me is a big thing. You keep the momentum going, and just taking a quick peek into 2023, LSU returns a lot of people and should be a top 10 football team, top 15 at the worst, and you're going to season probably one of the co-favorites for the SEC West.
The next time LSU plays in that stadium, there'll be a lot more eyes on it. I can promise you for sure. All right, I talked to the staff. They're all expecting mouse ears when you get back, so plan accordingly.
Musso.
All right.
I got someone that says Musso.
Thanks, Gordy. Have a good call. Safe trip back.
Okay, buddy.
And we'll take a break, come back. Scouting report on Purdue is next here from Rouse's, where you can download the mobile app for curbside delivery. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day Scouting Report.
Presented by Demco. Demco, powering lives, brightening the future.
Welcome back in Eagle 98.1 Game Day. LSU and Purdue hours away. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Tigers trying to polish off a 10-win season year one under Brian Kelly. Right now, we're joined by the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, Jim Nagy, who's been with us all year, and now the final scouting report of the year. Thank you for your time. Happy New Year. How are you?
Yeah, Happy New Year, Matt. This season's it's gone by fast, hasn't it?
It seems to always go by fast, and then you know what? The next one will be here before we know it. You're watching Florida State earlier this weekend against Oklahoma to remind you, well, you know what? LSU's going to match up with them in a few months in that very same stadium. So it goes by quick, but it gets here quick too, and that's good. Speaking of getting here quick, Jim, the Senior Bowl is just about a month away, February the 4th, 1:30 Central kickoff time in Mobile. You can get your tickets now, seniorbowl.com, right there on the homepage if you want to find it. But I kind of want to know, so about a month out, where are y'all in the process? A lot of invites have been accepted. Are there more to come, or is it now setting up everything for the game in the week that is Senior Bowl?
Yeah, glad to say that we are pretty much wrapped up here. We've got 122 guys on the roster right now. There's a couple juniors that we will probably add after these bowl games. Some guys we've been given a heads up on that are going to graduate, and we can't really pull the trigger on those guys until they do. But yeah, so no, we're excited about this year's roster. Really came together well. A lot of good players. The last couple of years we've had over 40% of the entire NFL draft class here in Mobile. And the way this thing is shaped up, I feel like the numbers will be similar this year. A lot of guys in the second, third, fourth round. That's really the bulk of our roster is those rounds 2 through 4. We've had 28 first-rounders over the last 4 years, so about an average of 7. And this year kind of looks probably similar in that range, probably 5, 6, 7 first-rounders as well.
I know, obviously, this year in this segment, we've talked a lot about kind of the process y'all go through in selecting. You mentioned you've got the rosters just about filled out, and I'm sure there's tough decisions to be made, not specific players, obviously, but was there one position group that you and your team found more difficult than others this year to scout and select guys for the game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think difficult in the sense that I think linebacker was difficult because it's a thin class. It was difficult finding enough guys that we felt good about to select on the roster. And then, wide receiver is always difficult because there's so many of them. Like Dre Jenkins didn't get a Senior Bowl invite this year, and he's a player we liked quite a bit. Dre's gonna be going out to the NFLPA game, which is the week before ours. They play that out in Los Angeles at the Rose Bowl. And we call players up from that game every year when we have players go down or during our week. We'll fly guys in midweek and get them up to speed and have them play on Saturday. So wide receiver is always a challenge just because every school's got one or two guys that make a lot of plays. and are very productive in the way we throw the ball around now in college football. So I'd say those two spots were probably the most difficult.
February 4th, 2023. The game's on NFL Network, but get out to Mobile. Go get your tickets. Go see the game. It's an experience, and the game, Jim, itself, I mean, as great as it is, that's not all y'all have for the fans. I mean, there's open practices. There's plenty of events around the game leading up to February 4th as well.
Yeah, and I'll say this, Matt, like it's not a far drive. We, you know, Walk-Ons is a big partner of ours and based over there in Baton Rouge. And so I'm back and forth from there quite a bit. It's really an easy drive. I go over there for Tiger games back and forth in a day. So, yeah, the NFL descends on Mobile. It's really not it's a smaller community, and everyone in the NFL is here. So it's kind of fun if you're an NFL fan just to be hanging out down here or downtown or out at practice and seeing all the, you know, the Bill Belichick, the Mike Tomlins, and all, you know, all the GMs and head coaches. It's really a unique atmosphere. It's pretty laid back, and all these NFL guys have their guard down and just down here getting work done. And it's really a fun week. And then, you know, we've added other events like the Senior Bowl Summit, which was, you know, an event that is at the Sanger Theater down here downtown on Thursday night, kind of a panel-style event. This year we're bringing back a bunch of all-time greats from Alabama and Auburn, and should be a fun event. And then Friday night we're having a Mardi Gras parade, the very first Mardi Gras parade of the season down here. We'll have about 100,000 people downtown Mobile for that. We're throwing Senior Bowl's throwing a concert with Nelly after that parade on Friday night, and then game day Saturday. So yeah, if people wanted to make the drive in, catch practice, catch some of those other events, and then game day, it's really, I tell all the locals, it's your last opportunity to tailgate till we get to next August. So anyone along the Gulf Coast, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, it's really a nice drivable event to come and bring family. And again, these college venues are getting so expensive as well. To bring a family of four to a college football game right now isn't very cheap. So, you know, we've got a $15 ticket here at the Senior Bowl, and you can see kind of the future stars of the NFL at an affordable price for most families.
Short drive. If you're coming from Baton Rouge, you get to see two LSU guys as well, and Jay Ward and Ali Gay. And we've talked about Jay a lot on this show so far with you, Jim, but I want to go one more time because he lands on the 2022 Senior Bowl All-American defensive team right there at defensive back.
Yeah, you know, it's fun doing your own All-American team, Matt, because you can create positions for guys, and you don't see a lot of All-American teams with a designated nickel category, and we made a nickelback category this year, and Jay Ward was that guy, and we've talked about it on the show what a great year he's had, and you know, Jay's going to continue to get better when he gets, you know, thicker and stronger, just as he matures. I mean, you get to be a 25, 26-year-old man, you'll put on some of that grown man weight. But just the way he plays, his aggressive style, his length, I mean, there's so much to like about his game and his tools that I've said it before on the show. I mean, I think he's going to be one of the better nickels in the league once he gets up to that level.
And then, you know, I was scrolling through the invite list or the accepted invite list, and it might not be as popular with the listeners right now, but Alabama kept popping up an awful lot. By my count, they have to have the most players, I would imagine, on the rosters this year. And two of them landed on the all-defensive team as well with Henry To'oTo'o and Byron Young.
Yeah, they've got 9. So you're right. They
Yeah.
have the most. That's the second most Alabama guys we've ever had in a game. And obviously with us being here in Mobile, Alabama, that's a big draw for our guys. But for our locals, I mean, this is a big Tide market. But that's not why they were selected. I mean, these guys are all guys that are going to be drafted. Probably most of them 5th round or higher. You know, Henry To'oTo'o is going to go somewhere on day 2, one of the most instinctive linebackers in this year's draft class. And then you brought up Byron Young as the other guy off that defense. And we had his teammate Phil Mathis in the game last year, another interior defensive lineman. Phil Mathis ended up going in the 2nd round last year, played in the Senior Bowl, and Byron Young's probably a slightly better prospect than him. So Byron's probably going to end up going in the 2nd round as well. So, yeah, it just worked out that way. Last year we only had 2 Alabama players in the game. This year we have 9. But hopefully it will help to sell some tickets for game day because this is, like I said, this is a big Tide fan base over here.
Hey, look, if I recall, our Alabama segment this year was the longest one we had. I think we went about 15 minutes because there were just so many guys that y'all were targeting and going through. The last guy I wanted to talk to you about. We talked about him back in October, but it's another guy with some Louisiana ties. He came over from ULL with Billy Napier to Florida, and that's Osiris Torrance. And, boy, I remember y'all were very high on him in October when we mentioned him ahead of the Florida game, and he lands on the All-American offensive team along the offensive line.
Yeah, Osiris is going to be one of the first guards taken. There's no doubt about that. You know, he's one of those guys that I don't know if he fits all 32 teams, but teams that play with big interior guys like Seattle, you know, just like guys that can play square and move people off the ball and anchor the pocket. Osiris is going to be their kind of guy. So he's a good one. He's a good one. He had a good year in the SEC. He kind of stepped up that level of play from the Sun Belt and really stepped up against better people. So, yeah, we were excited to get Osiris over here. You know, similar to some of the LSU guards we've had in the game. You know, we had Ed Ingram last year.
Yeah.
And Ed wasn't a fit for all 32 either, but he still went in the second round. He's had a really nice year for a good Minnesota Vikings team. So kind of see Osiris in the same light.
Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. The game is February 4th, 1:30 is the kickoff time. It's in Mobile. The draft starts in Mobile. If you can't get out there, which we encourage you to do, though, you can watch the game on the NFL Network. Always a fantastic event. Jim, we appreciate the time all season. It was very, very insightful, and hopefully we can do it again.
All right, Matt. Well, hey, this was fun this year, and Happy New Year, and go Tigers.
Happy New Year. Go Tigers. That is Jim Nagy. Again, go to seniorbowl.com, and you can get your tickets right there on the homepage if you're interested. We'll grab a break, come back on the other side. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is
98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Recruiting.
Recruiting with Shay Dixon from On3 Sports. Presented by Shell. Shell is the rhythm of Louisiana.
And we bring in Shay Dixon from On3. Shay, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Charlie. I've been in Orlando too long. I'm ready to come back home.
Well, vacation will do that to you, but just a working vacation for you. Shay, I know that everybody's got their own thoughts about the bowl games, but this was kind of convenient for you because I want to start with the Under Armour All-American game, which is tomorrow in Orlando. How convenient that you would be able to go out and see the LSU players that are going to be in that game. So there's 4 of them, and I'll let you kind of go through them, but Zalen's Hurd is the one that seems to have caused the most commotion with the week he's had.
Yes, commotion in a good way. Well,
right.
No lineman, commotion's always good. So they, in total, had 5. Deshaun Womack, their 5-star defensive end edge signing, had a little small minor surgery to clean something up before he enrolls next month. So he didn't participate. But they had Hurd. Shelton Sampson kind of tweaked his groin on day 1, the 5-star out of Catholic receiver. We'll see if he plays in the game tomorrow, but wasn't able to get much practicing in. And then Ryan Yates and then Javian Toviano, a couple DBs they signed out of Texas. But, Charlie, there's no doubt about it. Zalen's Hurd is a bona fide 5-star. I mean, he was the best offensive lineman out there. He got all the left tackle reps. This is a kid who played right tackle at Neville when Will Campbell was playing left tackle. Brian Kelly obviously shared a story about Zalen's saying, hey, I'm coming for Will Campbell's left tackle spot. And I talked to Hurd about it. He said, hey, look, I was being halfway serious, but I'll play anywhere they put me. I just want to be out there. This is, look, Under Armour, the All-American Bowl in San Antonio. These are where all the elite kids are invited. And so Hurd got to go up against a bunch of elite edge rushers that are signing with top schools all over the country, and nobody could beat him. I mean, he is probably 330 now, and he'll lose, get him down 10, 15 pounds, something like that. He'll play in the 315, 320 range, but he moves well at that size. And when he gets his hands on you, it's over. And I think we did top performers for, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 full days of practice. He was on them every single time. He was considered to be the best offensive lineman out there and without a doubt locked in his 5-star status. So for everybody hoping to see the O-line continue to grow and hoping a guy like Hurd do what Emory Jones and Will Campbell did and come in and compete early, he's absolutely on track for that. It was an even better week than I thought he could have. He was dominant.
Yeah, that's my, not so hot take anymore, is that Campbell came in and started the first game. Jones came in and started in game, I think, 3. This kid will do something similar. He will be in the lineup before the end of September, if not by the beginning of September. And then the question will be for the staff is who's going to be a tackle and who's going to be a guard. I'll let them sort that out, but it's a good problem to have. So I heard the reports were so glowing, Shay. Give me on the rest of what you saw at the All-American practices.
Yeah, and look, they got out into full pads and all that. So when you get O-line, D-line, one-on-ones, and even when they go, 5-on-4, you get a good sense for what they can do. DB can be a little bit different, especially for a safety like Ryan Yates. He's a guy who he can play, some in the box and tackles well and covers well, but his best stuff happens on game day and, when the pads are fully on and the whistles are blowing. So not really his setting. I thought he had solid outing, but none of those safety types are really getting tested out there. I thought it was fun to watch Toviano, though, because we've got him ranked as a safety, but he told me, look, what Coach Steeple said, that they need corners. I'm a guy who's versatile enough to do both. So he wants to come in under Steeple's guidance, both of them enroll next month, and will be part of all the spring practices and workouts. But he said that he wanted to use Under Armour to kind of test out his ability to cover and be a boundary guy or even a field corner. And he was really solid. I mean, good, turns his hips well, good recovery speed whenever he does have a receiver get a step on him. Everything's in phase. I really liked him, and high character, both him and Yates and Hurd, high character kids who will make the locker room a lot better. And the good news there is they're also really talented. So a stock-up week for Toviano. We had him on one of our top performers lists yesterday. And boy, he's eager after his announcement to get onto campus and get into that DBU room, or as he says, I called it the DB room. He corrected me and said DBU room is what we're rebuilding it towards, and they're pumped about it. So this is sort of those beginning pieces to rebuilding what is a room that, between corner and safety had taken a big hit the past couple seasons.
I always think it's an interesting balance to these practices, padded, non-padded, what you can do in the games, because these kids haven't, for the most part, haven't played football in about a month, right? It's not like the bowl practices where you get 2 weeks, you practice, and then you go home for Christmas for a few days, you come back and you're practicing again. Most of these kids, Shay, haven't played since the end of their high school season, which is going on 4, maybe 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, some of them, as they were noting, haven't done any practice or type work since the end of November, which is when their high school season ended. So I think they were excited to kind of get back out there, and it's not like you are in high school or college where it's a full go, and you're more having fun with things, but you at least get a chance to see how you match up against some of the top guys. And yes, there's a learning curve there. The first day or two for about every kid out there was not clean. Everybody is finally putting full pads back on for the first time and playing with quarterbacks and other teammates that they've never played with before. So it's a fun event for sure. It's supposed to be a reward, and everyone gets to go and enjoy their time down here. And much like a bowl game is, it's supposed to be a little bit of both. You play, but you also go out and find. But I can tell that all these guys, LSU and others, they're excited to just put pads on again. It's a great comp. It's not like a bowl where, hey, they're still practicing for 4 weeks. These kids practice for 3 days, and now it's a game and then go on to move on to college.
So if you're a guy like her and you can excel in those circumstances, that's very good. All right, Shay, when we talked for the SEC championship game, I asked you about, we were close to signing day, but I asked you about the portal. You said, well, you know what, they're going to need to sign some defensive linemen, they need to sign some corners, and they need to figure out what they're going to do in the punt return game. So they signed 7 guys, 4 defensive linemen, 2 corners, and a wide receiver that returns punts. So I'm glad to see they're listening to you, Shay. It's a really good, positive move in the right direction. So kind of give me your thoughts on the 7 players incoming in the transfer portal for LSU.
Yeah, I always say it. If you and I, who are not very smart, and every LSU fan out there is probably about as smart as we are, can see what the glaring issues are on the roster, I'm pretty sure the coaches who watch them every day know exactly what they need to go do. And I really like.
It's not always the case, Shay. It's not always the case. So, but this staff, yes. But I digress. Go on. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt
you. Okay, we're positive, Charlie. In our new year, we're being positive.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that they address a couple of D tackles, a D end who can kind of be an Ollie Gay position, an edge rusher who can kind of fill that. B.J. Ojolari's gone. You signed a 5-star in Deshaun Womack, but again, even Harold Perkins took a little bit of time to get adjusted. So the portal gives you guys who have started double-digit games at other schools in Power 5 conferences, and then corner. Going out and getting Denver Harris, I thought was massive. Obviously, Brian Kelly had to kind of go through a number of steps to make sure that a guy who was essentially dismissed, or at least was not able to play the second half of the season at A&M, would be good to go for LSU. But first half of the season he did play, and he was a mid-season All-American with multiple outlets. So you got to like what you're getting there. Zaya Alexander, a 2-time FCS All-American out of Southeastern, a kid from Lauraville who was a really good multi-sport athlete in high school and now has some significant playing time under his belt. I think for people listening who are saying, look, we've signed FCS guys before at corner. Is this guy going to be any better? Yes, he's also had Southern Cal, Miami, a ton of offers. He chose to stay home. So you've got a nice 1-2 starting point there of guys who can come in and really help you at corner as you bring along others, who are already on the team or that you signed, and then we'll see if they continue to monitor the portal. But boy, I love transfer edition number 1. Aaron Anderson was a guy who, coming out of Carr in New Orleans, was arguably the best player, one of the best players in the state, but was not just the dynamic slot guy and receiver. He was the dynamic return guy, kickoffs, punts, one of the best in the city at it. And he goes to Bama. Everybody freaks out, but the portal can giveth and taketh away, and in this spot they give. And he comes back home after a year, and boy, for them it fills a really nice need in terms of allowing him to step in and compete at that return spot. And then he's got the talent, clearly. He was a 5-star by a couple of rankings to come into a talented receiver room. And not get lost in the shuffle. He will absolutely be battling for playing time. So Brian Kelly said between 7 and 10 transfers. They're at 7. Won't be surprised they add a couple of more, through the offseason as they continue to see who goes into the portal and they address needs. But this is a really nice start. You're not sitting around still saying, hey, we need corners, D tackles, a D end, an edge, a return guy. All of those things have now been tapped into.
Shay, do you think the next step in the transfer portal waits until after spring?
I don't think necessarily, because some kids will go in from after bowl games. So there'll be that crop to look at. And I'll note that January, whatever it is, 14th, 15th, something like that, is the last day you can enter the portal. It's not like then it goes dead and you can't recruit anybody. So they'll be recruiting kids or, looking through the portal all off season. And then you get into that window, 15-day window after spring ball, where maybe you'll have some guys go in, maybe some guys elsewhere will go in, and you'll have the opportunity to look for 1 or 2 more guys to kind of finalize your roster. So I won't be surprised if it's 1 or 2 more guys, in the next month, and then 1 or 2 guys in spring.
All right, then let's finally talk about top targets for the late signing period, the first week in February. Who's left on the board?
Well, Nicholas Harbor is really the only big name still out there. And at this point, he wants to play tight end. They had been recruiting him as an edge. He was at Under Armour this week playing tight end. He's a track star who's going to have to, develop into a, real college football player. But the raw tools are there. So LSU will check in on him and they'll try to recruit him and see what happens about a visit. But if he's stuck on tight end and they just signed 3 of them, I think their chances go down a little bit compared to where they would have been had he really been kind of set on playing a D-end edge rusher role. So I won't be surprised, Charlie, if they don't sign any more high school guys. I'm not saying they won't. They could. But I expect the remainder of the additions, at least a very large majority, to be transfers.
Have Marcus Spears call him. Ask him what happened when he wanted to play tight end. They told him to play defensive end. He became a millionaire. I'm just saying.
And he wanted to play basketball, and he lasted about a couple weeks of practice and said, I think y'all run too much. I'm good. We're going to go play football.
Shay, what's coming up on 3 following the game?
We'll have obviously reactions from the game and all the signees, but really kind of turning the focus back to the portal. I think that's going to be the focus for the LSU staff the next month. They're going to have some visits lined up with kids in January. And Charlie, I'll say this too. I think they're going to move into a spot where you've addressed needs. Now all of a sudden you're after best available. Do they go after, a running back, someone on the offensive line? It'll be interesting to start to see kind of how do they feel they can still strengthen the team without saying we absolutely have to have this person.
Shay, thanks for all your help all season long. We'll be checking in with you again, obviously, real soon. Have a enjoyable rest of the trip and a safe trip back, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for everything, Charlie. I enjoyed it. Happy New Year to all of y'all.
Happy New Year. Shay Dixon from On 3. We'll take a break. Guys from OTB are next here at Rouse's. Download the mobile app for curbside delivery. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323. LA 21-12681. Offices in Metro.
WDGL and HD1 Baton Rouge. Eagle 98.1.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, E-Tel, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Off the Bench on Game Day. Off the Bench is heard weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from OTB, here's T-Bob Hebert.
Jake, we were also out when Jaden Daniels announced that he is officially returning to LSU.
I don't remember which show we talked about what on, T-Bob. The holidays are a hell of a thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to say it happened after we got off air.
I think it did, on Thursday.
Yeah, look, the thing is, I don't have much to add that I haven't already said, and I've been very clear about this. If you are just looking for what creates the best LSU team next year, it is Jaden Daniels returning. And that and I am factoring in any potential roster attrition that comes with that. Maybe Nuss leaves, et cetera, whatever the case may be. Jaden Daniels was great last year. I think he has very clear areas to work on. And if you're someone who is a Nuss believer and you think that he should be the guy, well, if he's the guy, he'll become the guy. Like, that sounds obvious, right? But if he is that good, as you believe him to be, he'll win the job. Or if the coaches see the same potential that you do, they'll give him the job. And so the bottom line is that Jaden Daniels returning creates the best quarterback position that you can. Now, I need him to take advantage of that wide receiver room, like we said. I would like a bit more. I want more threat out of this LSU offense next year. Big play, explosive threat. I mean, we were just talking to Nick Underhill about this yesterday with the New Orleans Saints. The new era of football, you have to be explosive offensively. LSU and Burrow were kind of, near the forefront of this a few years ago, and you saw what it did then, how it allowed them to steamroll team. Joe Burrow took that to the NFL, and he steamrolled his way all the way to a Super Bowl. Last year, LSU was kind of like this year's Saints team where most of their scores came from these long, sustained drives, which are great and demoralizing for an opponent, but it's hard to do that uber consistently.
When you look at what LSU has coming back, I mean, it's going to be a team that has a lot of preseason hype. It's going to have their quarterback back. It's going to have their leading rushers back. It's going to have basically all of their leading receivers back. It's going to have that offensive line back. It's going to have depth pieces that come back. It's going to have actual, tight end bodies in that room. Like, there's a lot to be excited about this LSU offense. And we can get into the conversation about Jaden and Nuss. And if Jaden's your quarterback, you should be excited about that.
Yeah.
And look, and Nussmeier's a great player as well. And if he was the quarterback, I think you could be excited about that as well. Like, for me, it's more about how can the offensive staff look at what Jaden Daniels does really well in the offseason and create a plan around that. Because there's been some games where you're scratching your head a little bit as far as, okay, like, what were they thinking here? And then you turn on the Alabama tape. Mike Denbrock showed out on that game. Like, he put together a plan.
Yeah.
Think of how many things we saw in that game that we had not yet seen at that point. And you gave your quarterback multiple options on almost every single play to hand it, to run it, to throw it. It was high percentage completion plays. And when you started to move some pieces around as well, when you started to say, you know what, Kayshawn needs to be in the slot, Malik needs to be on the outside, and you started to put, Josh Williams needs to be in this situation in the backfield. Like, it's an offense that certainly thrived last year at times, and I think if it's done right in the offseason, can thrive for a full season.
Yep.
Like, it's as much on the schematics of the offense as it is the players within the schematics of the offense.
So what's interesting about that, though, Jake, how then do you marry the two, right? Like, how do you take advantage of creating an offense around Jaden's skill set, but also make sure you don't waste a wide receiver room that is easily your best room?
Because you can still make plays. Not everything has to be a shot. Now, you can take shots, but it also has to be, within the system. Like, you can still throw a back shoulder fade. Like, that's an easy. Like, you can line up an 11 personnel, doubles, 2x2, and you can throw a back shoulder fade. I mean, you can have two-man route concepts on either side. Every offense in America, including high school, can have that. Like, so that's still a fabric of your offense. But it's like when you're game planning against your opponent, again, there's times that we could go back and we can circle, man, look what they did in this Ole Miss game. Look at what they did in this Alabama game. Yeah. Even at times in some of their losses. Like, I thought the Georgia offensive game plan, like, we just went back and they showed the game here in studio today. The offensive game plan was really well done.
Yeah.
Both quarterbacks had success against a really good defense.
Fair.
I mean, you scored 30, and there were still more points left out there. Now, you gave up 50, but, like, even that, like, there's things that you can do, T. You can marry both of them because there's easy concepts that you can go out there for those receivers, get the ball in their hands, and also come up with a game plan that best suits what you have offensively as far as talent and quarterback and running back and receiver, putting guys in the right spot, because it's not only, having the right plays, but it's having those guys in the right spot.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Opposing Media.
Presented by Rev. Fiber fast internet made in Louisiana.
Let's head up to West Lafayette, Indiana, take a closer look at the Purdue Boilermakers, talk some Citrus Bowl. Go to Sam King. He's on Twitter at Samuel T. King. Covers Purdue for the Journal and Courier. Sam, we appreciate the time. Thank you very much. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So I wanted to start kind of with a big picture surrounding this game from the Purdue fan base's side, where a lot of people down here, Sam, I'll tell you, have kind of likened it to the situation LSU was in last year for the Texas Bowl against Kansas State, where you have an interim head coach, a whole host of opt-outs, and I can tell you there wasn't much enthusiasm from the fan base surrounding that game. What's kind of the vibe like up there around Purdue and heading down to Orlando?
Well, it's not quite LSU of a year ago. The quarterback is actually going to be a quarterback. Yeah. It's not the typical starting quarterback. But, yeah, there's a lot of people who are frustrated or you just don't understand why some of these players are opting out. Unfortunately, with the situation being a coach leaving and you have an interim head coach on top of that, just the way that the college football world works nowadays, you have a lot of players who have opted out of this game to prepare for the NFL or have entered the transfer portal to kind of seek elsewhere to continue their college careers. So with that said, there's a lot of big-name guys who have been a part of Purdue's success this season who will not be playing in this game, and that leaves a lot of players that people probably haven't heard of or don't recall their names except for maybe on National Signing Day when they ink their names to letters of intent to come to Purdue. So it's an opportunity, I think, for a lot of guys who fans don't know a lot about, but that said, it's a lot of players that don't have much experience at the college football level.
How has the bowl prep gone? Obviously, with Brian Brom now in there as the interim coach, you mentioned the opt-outs, but Jeff Brom also took assistance with him already to Louisville. So just with all the change, distraction with that, how has bowl prep really gone for the Boilermakers?
Yeah, some of the staff who has remained will depart and go to Louisville after this game. But, I think it was important to kind of leave some of the staff behind and say, hey, this is our season. Let's finish it out with our guys. And, rather than just kind of ransack the coaching staff and leave nothing behind. A big get was Drew Brees deciding to come on as quarterback's coach for this game. He didn't have to do that. I think he saw the situation and said, hey, this is an opportunity where I can help. I don't want to be, a full-time coach, but I can come in for a few weeks and lend my experience and my knowledge to this group while it prepares for LSU. So that definitely doesn't hurt to have that guy at your practices, helping your quarterbacks, your receivers, so forth and so on. But I think it very much is, kind of Brian Brom taking the reins here offensively, and then Mark Hagan, who was a co-defensive coordinator, is going to call the defense. So maybe not as big of a change as you would think, but still definitely an adjustment. The good thing is you have a month basically of bowl preparation to get ready for one team.
Yeah, the Drew Brees angle is certainly interesting and certainly one that caught a lot of eyes down here with all the good and wins and philanthropy that he brought to the state of Louisiana his time with the New Orleans Saints. So definitely a fun angle there. You mentioned him working with the quarterback, so I want to talk to you about Austin Burton, who's going to step in for Aiden O'Connell. Has some playing time already this season. How different, if at all, will the Purdue offense operate with Burton under center as opposed to O'Connell?
Well, I think you can do some different things with an Austin Burton. He's definitely more mobile than Aiden O'Connell, who basically strictly was a drop-back passer and stayed in the pocket and pick you apart because he's very accurate and knows every read, knows the offense like the back of his hand. Austin Burton has the ability to run. He didn't run a whole lot in the start that he had earlier this season against Florida Atlantic, but he has that capability, and I think it opens the playbook a little bit. And then when you talk about the pass catchers who won't be playing in this game, mainly Charlie Jones and Payne Durham, the top two receivers on the team, I think you're going to have to add some wrinkles to the offense and some things that LSU probably hasn't seen on film yet this season.
Talking with Sam King of the Journal and Courier, covers Purdue. You can follow him on Twitter at Samuel T. King. Of course, LSU and Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. Sam, you mentioned the receivers being out. Kind of who fills that void for Purdue with no Charlie Jones and no Payne Durham?
Well, they have some guys, they have receivers. I just think that because Charlie Jones had this incredible 1 year at Purdue where he transferred from Iowa and caught over 100 passes, was, probably the second best receiver in the Big Ten behind Marvin Harrison Jr. You take that guy out of the equation, and it's just opportunity for other guys. T.J. Sheffield has been a very capable receiver throughout his career. Marshawn Rice. I think Paul Piferi will probably step into that tight end role. And he's a guy that's, when he catches passes, people go nuts just because it's something that doesn't happen very often, but they love to see like the backups get their opportunities. So it's a chance for him to really have a big game. Last year, Purdue played Tennessee in the Music City Bowl, and David Bell had opted out, and he was the do-everything receiver, and people kind of wondered the same thing. Who's going to step up and catch passes? And you had a whole host of guys that had huge games that maybe people didn't expect, one of those being Brock Thompson, who was the MVP of the Music City Bowl last year. He's been hurt all year long, so I don't think you're going to see him. But I think they also probably, especially when you consider the defensive line opt-out for LSU, maybe Purdue tries to establish the run game, which is maybe not its trademark, but Devin Maccabee is a walk-on redshirt freshman who actually now is on scholarship, but was a walk-on this season, and he's nearing 1,000 yards. He's done a much better job late in the season of being a safety valve as a pass catcher, and he's a very dangerous weapon. He's really shifty in the way he runs. So if Purdue can establish a ground game early, maybe that's a route that they go to try to keep this a competitive ball game.
Sam, if we could, I'd like to switch sides of the ball to the Purdue defense. And look, LSU's got their own opt-outs in the receiving core as well, but they are going to have Jaden Daniels at quarterback. How does Purdue match up with the LSU offense, especially with the mobility and versatility of a Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, I think this game is tailor-made for a Jaden Daniels because you had a lot of departures on the defense, whether it was, their best cornerback, Corey Trice, has opted out. Jalen Graham, kind of their safety/linebacker and a leader of that defense, he probably wasn't going to play anyway. And then we've known for a while he's not going to play, but now he says he's going to try his hand at the NFL. And then the defensive line, those guys all have entered the transfer portal. So you're going to have a lot of guys who have not played much college football out there on the field. And you're talking about a dual threat quarterback where, you really have to be assignment heavy and respect him as a runner when he rolls out, but also know, he's not just a runner. He has the capability to throw it over your head and hurt you with his arms. So I think, I would expect Jaden Daniels probably is going to be somebody who has a big game here for LSU.
And lastly, special teams. Look, LSU's had their fair share of missteps in that unit for sure. How does Purdue special teams match up in this game? And if, per se, it comes down to a kick, is that something that they feel comfortable in?
Well, they won the Music City Bowl on a field goal in overtime last season. So got a fourth down stop on the 1 yard line and then kicked the field goal. Mitchell Finneran, who transferred last year from Stanford, was probably better than Purdue had hoped for a year ago, and he's been pretty reliable for the most part this season as well. So I think, if the weather is adapt to kicking, then they feel probably pretty comfortable sending Mitchell Finneran out there for a chance to win the game because he's shown that he can come through in those pressure situations in the past.
Sam King on Twitter at Samuel T. King covers Purdue for the Journal and Courier. Sam, we appreciate the time. Thank you and enjoy the game.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility. Moving faster than ever before. Streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Cornell Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Cornell Toyota family.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
After further review on Game Day, presented by the Grove Recovery Center. The Grove Recovery Center. Recovery designed for you. After further review is heard weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from AFR, here's Matt Moscona.
And we return here at Rouse's. Download the mobile app for curbside delivery. Scone, Happy New Year. How are you?
Annie, Muse, good morning. Happy New Year. Doing great, thanks.
All right. This game between LSU and Purdue, what are you looking to take out of this? You know, we've done all the storylines. We know what players are in, what players are out. What are you, when you watch this game, what are you looking to take out of it?
I want to see the offense get humming again because I feel like we haven't seen it really since the Alabama game. Now, I understand what happened at Georgia or against Georgia, but I think we can all throw an asterisk there, right? You had Jaden Daniels for a half, Nussmeier for a half. You were way down. You were just kind of slinging it. But, man, the Arkansas and Texas A&M games did not look good. And I would really like to see that offense look efficient, hopefully serving sort of as a springboard into next season. And defensively, I'm actually really excited to look at that front seven because the numbers are thin. We know that, but guys like Savion Jones and Quincy Wiggins and Xavier Carter, like those are guys that are going to be a big part of this defense next year. And this is going to be a good opportunity to see him go run around and hopefully make some plays today.
All right. To get that offense humming again, we're basically talking about almost all of the same personnel because for all of the opt-outs, really only Boutte is not there. Most of the other principals are there on the offense. We may even see some of John Emery today. So there's a lot of positives there. Looking at Purdue, they're down a couple of key players on that defense. So what's humming for this LSU offense? When are they at their best?
I think – I mean, look, when they've been at their best this year, it's been whenever they've gotten Jade Daniels going running the football. They've been able to work action off of that. You know, the other one that I'm curious about with not having – you mentioned Keyshawn, but no Jure either. And Jure's kind of been – I mean, tell me if you agree or disagree. He's kind of been, when they needed the big play, the deep ball, he's been that guy, not just this year, but throughout his career. So I'll be curious to see who maybe steps up in that role. I mean, I know Malik Neighbors has obviously been the leading receiver this year, but – if they need that big play downfield in the passing game, who that'll be. You know, and Haney, I don't know if you've heard anything, but this could be John Emery's last game in an LSU uniform. And I think it will be, honest. I think John Emery's going to declare for the draft. So He came in as a 5-star, much ballyhooed. I would really like to see John Emery have a nice day today if he's healthy and able to go and can run out there and maybe make some plays for LSU. But, to answer your question, what's humming, I think it starts with Jaden's ability to run the ball. When they're calling design runs for him and they can have action off of that, I think it's when they're absolutely at their best. But they just were not able to move the football on the ground against A&M or against Arkansas, and that limited everything they wanted to do.
I think you're right. We did discuss Emery a little bit earlier, and he's got options. He could transfer. I think it's more likely that he does what you're saying and puts himself into the draft. But we'll see. Up front defensively, Savion Jones certainly flashed at times this year. Quincy Wiggins, wasn't available to them the whole season, but both of those guys. And I'm also anxious to see Jacoby Guillory today. I don't know how you feel about him. I was a little bit surprised, maybe even a little bit disappointed that he didn't get more reps because the starters, Roy and Wingo, played, I'm guessing, Matt, somewhere around 90% of the snaps in conference play. And
that's probably fair, yeah.
And so that's not optimum. That's not what anybody wants. I was sitting next to you and Hester at the championship game. I think it was the third play of the game. Georgia brings in 4 fresh defensive line. I'm like, unless you can't do that. Yeah. They can't do that in the third quarter. So I'm anxious. I'm obviously very anxious to see Wiggins, but Guillory as well, because I think he's going to play a prominent role next year.
Guillory is he kind of reminds me a lot of Jalen Lee, the big transfer that they just got from Florida, from Live Oak. Just a big 300-pound guy who doesn't move exceptionally well, but he's a space eater. And look, he's not Apuaika, who may be a first-round draft pick, but you need those guys on the defense that can plug holes, that can move bodies, that can blow up the launch pad, as our friend Mike D would say. And maybe I'd like to see some of that from Jacoby and Guillory today. But I think that's the given, though, Hanny. Like, we know we're going to see Mekhi Wingo. We know we're going to see Jacoby and Guillory. I'm curious, do we see any of those freshmen today? Like, do we see Bryce Langston on the interior today? Like, are we going to see Tyjee Hill? I mean, you can't play 2 defensive tackles the entire game, can you? I mean, you're going to have to play somebody.
You're going to see them. It's just a matter of how much. I mean, it may be. Guillory probably was the 3rd defensive tackle, and against Alabama, we're talking about 6 plays, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most important game of the year, and they weren't rotating guys that day because they had.
But there were times too. Sorry to interrupt, but there were times too where we would see Ali Gay slide on the interior. We'd see Mekhi Wingo move out to end. I mean, I think Matt House, they were so limited with personnel that he had to get creative with how the fronts looked. So we didn't see maybe a traditional rotation in that sense. And guys were on the field a lot, no doubt. I'm just curious if sans other options, they have to do that today, and we see some of those guys get some run.
All right, last thing. Everybody's got an opinion on how important a win – attitude-wise, morale-wise, the 10 wins, it looks good. How important this is going into next season?
I think it's massive. Like, I mean, there's a lot of debate, and you could argue either side about the bowl bump, right? Like, how you perform in the bowl game, does it help you going into the next year? And there's examples of it. Like the 2010 Cotton Bowl is one I know we've talked about, where they beat A&M, and then 2011 was that awesome season. It was a great way to finish the year. You win in the Fiesta Bowl in 2018 is another one, obviously. I'm not suggesting LSU is going to be 2019 LSU next year, but I tend to think it does matter going into the offseason. I tend to think it does help you carry momentum and morale into your offseason work, and it certainly impacts preseason hype the following season, which, for whatever that's worth, I mean, certainly you would rather start near the top than have to work your way to the top. It's just that you have built-in advantages that way. You get things like the benefit of the doubt in a system where you have to have people's opinions favor you. If LSU wins this game, I think next year when LSU opens in that stadium, you're going to have a top 10 matchup with LSU and Florida State and Orlando. So there's a lot of reasons I think it's important for LSU to go get a win today and finish the season on a positive note.
2006 Sugar Bowl worked pretty well.
Yeah,
pretty well also. Although there were some bowl games that they won, didn't do a whole lot. I think every group is different. You know, how the group responds to it. Look, if they have a good offseason and it's because of what happens today, great. They can have a good offseason if they don't have a great day today. That's really up to the kids. What kind of summer are they going to have? But it sure don't hurt. It would make for some positive feelings. All right, Matt, whiskey and wine today?
Yeah, T-Bob and I will be over at Don Juan. So last one of the year, we're looking forward to it. If people have the day off, come join us. If you can't, we'll be on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel as soon as the game goes final.
This slide in from whiskey and wine right into Joe Burrow against Buffalo, right?
We'll have Rose Bowl, right?
Rose Bowl too.
But then obviously we'll be watching Monday Night Football tonight, which will be exciting. See if Joey B can go get the win.
We're looking at that Rose Bowl, man. Hardly anybody opted out of that. That's a really good game.
I know.
I mean, Penn State.
You have a feeling on it?
I like Penn State. To be honest with you, there's almost no opt-outs in this thing. You go look at Penn State's schedule, man. It was a 2-point game with Michigan at the half. Game was a little bit too long for them. 2-point game to the fourth quarter against Ohio State. They beat the rest of the Big Ten by an average of 24 points a game. I mean, you know, that's a good team. Flew under the radar because they weren't one of the big two in the Big Ten. But you look at that season, pretty solid season. I'm leaning Nittany on the Rose Bowl. But
let's ride. I'm with it.
Yeah. All right. Have a good show afterwards, Matt, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, see you.
All right, we'll take a break. Jimmy Ott is with us next week. We do have 3 other games on the card today. From Rouse's, this is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ATEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Otter Locks. Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs. Now, here's Jimmy Ott.
Jimmy Ott's been hunkered down watching football for 2 straight days. Actually, probably more than 2 straight days. Been a busy weekend, Jimmy. We get 4 more games today plus Monday Night Football. How you doing this morning?
Oh, doing pretty good, Charles. I'm getting ready to jump on the elevator, so bear with me.
Oh,
so,
all right.
Just enjoy some time off, man. You know. So.
All right, we'll let him.
Charlie, got me now?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's start with the first game, Mississippi State and Illinois today. Jimmy, we talk about motivation for bowl games all the time and who's more excited to be there. This has got a totally different reasoning and meaning behind that with the passing of Mike Leach. Mississippi State, they voted. I'm using the word voted. They got together as a team and said, do we want to go to the bowl game or do we not? If they had opted out, nobody would have blamed them. They said, no, we want to go. They've already hired a full-time coach. Zach Arnett was on the staff. So we know Mississippi State wants to be there. Illinois had a very good season under Brett Bielema. State looking at a 3-point favorite here in the first game, and that is the ReliaQuest Bowl. This is the former Outback Bowl over in Tampa.
Yeah, I still like State at -3. This is one that I was going to be all over Illinois because, let's face it, I mean, before the season, if you told Illinois they were going to play on a quasi New Year's Bowl against an SEC team, wouldn't they be pretty excited? Yep. And but the opt-out info has been more profitable than not. And I mean, I don't know of another team that relies on a running back like Illinois does Chase Brown. We know what Brett Bielema wants to do, what he did at Arkansas, what he did at Wisconsin. And, man, he rode this guy. And this guy is not he's not a Ron Dane type, like not at all. And so, you know, he's just tired of the wear and tear. He's going to go into the NFL draft, and that's it. But they're also down 2 big defenders, key defenders, who are expected to be drafted as well. Statistically, I don't know if it's scoring defense or total defense. They're number 1 in the country. And we saw this team go to Ann Arbor and probably should have won that game the week before Ohio State and Michigan. So I'm not crazy that I missed out on a better number at -1.5, but this thing is flipped. And if everything was normal, there wasn't the passing of Mike Leach, and I don't want to take that lightly and make it a big part of the handicapping. But I do see sort of a little bit of more of a galvanized effort and focus on attention and kind of win one for coach kind of deal. And, you know, we're looking for any type of motivation, and there you have it. So I think the indicators on both sides, I still think that's more valuable than the 1.5 point line move that I missed out on. I'm going to take Mississippi State -3.
Cotton Bowl at noon today. Tulane in their biggest bowl game since the 1930s. USC was an eyelash away from getting into the playoff. They could see it from there in the first half, and then Caleb Williams with the hamstring injury. He's not the same. Utah beats him, and now they're here in Arlington. Tulane, a 2.5 point underdog here, but both you and I were in agreement that what kind of Caleb Williams are you getting today? Is he going to play at all? Is he going to be effective? And Tulane's pretty excited to be there.
Well, I've been burned on this enough to where I've changed my approach, and I'm not going to sit there and watch him warm up. I'm not going to sit there and watch him dress out. I'm going to let the game start. And this is where the modernization of sports gambling and the digital side of things, where you are allowed that option. And whether it was on the same day, some of the things will stick in your head because I got burned on it. And that's what KJ Jett. Well, he's dressed out. He's warming up. Okay, I'm going to take Arkansas at State. They got killed with the backup quarterback. Well, I'm Dylan Gabriel dressed out, warming up in Dallas against Texas. They got killed. I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, what kind of games are we playing? And it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Man, hamstrings are something you just don't rush back from, and it makes no sense in the world. Look, what Nick Saban said yesterday, I think there is some merit to that. I think it's convenient, and we've seen him all of a sudden bring up point spreads when it's convenient for his argument. But, no, there's something to be said for guys that want to play and finish something that they started with their team. And then there's other things where this is a legitimate injury. The USC was playing for a spot in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Okay, he wasn't faking, and this is too soon of a turnaround. I mean, I just don't get it. All the motivation in the world is on Tulane. I'm on Tulane or nothing. Caleb Williams comes out and play, Charlie. I don't want Tulane with plus less than a field goal against Caleb Williams at USC,
Right.
even with all the motivation. So I'm hoping, I'm just anticipating that he won't play. I guess they could rule him out before the game started. That would be nice. And, instead of some of the games being played. Yeah. So, but it's something where you have the digital, you have the in-game options now. You have to take advantage of them in these types of situations.
And in the Rose Bowl, Penn State and Utah, we were going through this. Jimmy, these teams are almost completely intact, and they both had very good seasons. I was going through Penn State stuff, man. It's a 2-point game against Michigan at the half. Game was a little bit too long for them. 2-point game going to the fourth quarter against Ohio State. Everybody else, their average margin of victory against the rest of the Big Ten was 24 points. I mean, this is a pretty good team. Utah also had a very good season, but this game is almost intact for the Rose Bowl, Penn State and Utah, and the line reflects that. It's I'm showing Penn State won, but I've seen some pickets here in the last week too, so you tell me.
Yeah, getting a little bit of Penn State respect. You're right, Charlie. They lost to the two teams they were supposed to in Ohio State, Michigan, and took care of everybody fairly easily, minus that one Thursday night opener in West Lafayette against Purdue.
Yeah.
And they needed some good fortune. They needed to hold on at the end. I mean, that was a wild game to start the season, and that was really their 150-50 game, and they got it. I guess you could say Ohio State was somewhat, because they did have a lead in the fourth quarter at home against Ohio State, but. We talk about last year, and I think the most entertaining bowl game of the season last year was that Rose Bowl between Ohio State and Utah. And so a lot of people say, hey, look, Whittingham and his team come back and taken care of unfinished business. But I go back to another Rose Bowl appearance by their opponent today. James Franklin and Penn State had a heck of a bowl game against Sam Darnold at the time in USC. And they came up a little bit short, but, man, that was a great game. I know you remember it well.
I do.
And so I think these teams that they're not getting into the playoff. They missed out. They were close last couple of years. At least Utah was. And they're kind of just outside of that elite and that special privileged group that's been able to get into the playoffs. It's just 4-14 format. Well, man, they are taking this game seriously. I think we're going to have a well game. It's a tough one, Charlie. The only thing I will take, I think that Cameron Rising makes more consistent decisions than Sean Clifford. And Clifford he's got a lot of starts under his belt. There's no doubt. But he's kind of too much of a gunslinger for me. And he'll throw the ball into coverage. So Rising, I think, even though contradicting myself a little bit because that early down interception in Gainesville was just uncharacteristic for him. At Utah, after they kind of steady things, they really got going. The thing that I'm battling with, how much do I take away? Caleb Williams, we know if he doesn't get injured in Las Vegas against Utah, it's a different game. But would it have been enough? That's what I'm trying to battle with. But this is a tough game. I'm going to just go with a little bit of Utah, but not my strongest opinion on the game today.
I'll tell you another thing. Maybe I just got stars in my eyes from what happened on Saturday, but two teams at full strength, they may score some points. We saw some points scored on Saturday. So for 53.5 as a total, it might scoot over that total. Again, I think it's going to be a great game. Jimmy, tell us who's brought us to Otter Locks all year.
All right, our buddies over at Lofton Staffing Services, and I mean, it's a great deal, man. Second generation staffing service, and I mean, it's real easy. You can do it all from the comfort of your home and search. They match the valued employers with employees, and you can just do it all from the comfort of your own home at Lofton.jobs. So that's Lofton.jobs. My buddy Bart Lofton and his brother doing a great job for years and years at Lofton Staffing Services.
All right, Jimmy, enjoy the day, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Hullabaloo.
We'll take a break. We'll go back to Orlando, check in with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, when we come back. Here at Rouse's is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Inside the stadium. Inside the stadium. Presented by GoFlow IV Spa. GoFlow IV Spa, where athletes come to hydrate so they can dominate.
And we go down to Orlando, Camping World Stadium, site of today's game, and we check in with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. Chris, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Charlie. Just got here to Camping World Stadium, and probably in the background you hear the Tiger Band, a golden band for Tigerland. Or Heather, it's a little loud as they make their way into the stadium, and the team is just a couple of minutes behind them.
All right, kind of set up how the trip has gone so far. Bowl games are about balancing, having some fun, reward for the kids, and getting ready to play a football game. So kind of paint the picture of what's going on during the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good mix of both. I mean, that's one of the things Coach Kelly said. You know, it's a business trip, but there is some opportunity to have some fun and reward the players for a year well done, and that's kind of what they've done. They've visited several of the parks here in Orlando. And, you know, the other thing that's very evident when you're in the team hotel is, you know, they talk about wanting to get that 10th win and, you know, coming down here to win this football game. And it's been, you know, it's different because you walk around the hotel, you go by the team meeting rooms, and everybody's locked in. Now, once they got out of the hotel, they let their hair down a little bit and had some fun. But inside the hotel, it's been business as usual, as if this was a one-day, you know, road trip. So I think they're locked in. They appeared to be locked in yesterday, last night, and again early this morning as they got ready to load the buses.
Chris, when you take a look at Purdue, the similarities from what LSU had to endure last year, it's not a complete one-to-one comparison, but there's a lot of similarities. They do not have their new coach in place yet. Their former staff is a little bit scattered. They're without some of their very top players. So when you watch Purdue getting ready for this game, and now they got Drew Brees on the staff, so that's a little bit different. But some similarities between what Purdue's going through and what LSU had to deal with last year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. Preparing the two deep for Purdue was one of the bigger challenges I've had, just simply because A, they didn't release one, and B, probably had trouble putting one together and finding guys. So, you had to go back and look at the last 3 weeks of the season plus the Big Ten title game to kind of get a sense who did play, who was maybe a second or third string. But to be honest with you, after doing all of that, talking to some folks from Purdue, I mean, on a 22 chart, which is what I use, there's about 15 players on the defensive side. There's about 14 players, that really have contributed on the offensive side. That includes a quarterback that, really only played one significant game. That was against Florida International. Their top receivers, including the tight end, moved on and opted out. So it's a different team. I know you guys have been talking about that LSU, for the most part, I think survived the transfer portal, at least this first window, in pretty good shape. And, of course, they had opt-outs, obviously, that have decided to move on and get ready for the NFL. But I think LSU's in a much better shape, at least on paper, compared to where Purdue is. And not to mention, as you pointed out, their head coach has moved on. Their defensive coordinator has moved on. Yes, Drew Brees is going to be on staff. And, yes, Brian Brahms, who is the OC, will be the interim coach for this game. But, Purdue looks a lot different, more so than LSU, in each of their respective title games about a month ago.
All right, Chris, we're just a few minutes away from network pregame. What's coming up starting at the top of the hour?
Well, we got Gordy Rush working overtime here in Orlando, so he had a chance to catch up with a couple of Tiger players. Also had a visit with Mike Denbrock, which I think is interesting, his thoughts on how important this game is from an offensive consistency headed into next year, especially with Jaden Daniels announcing he's going to return. So we'll hear from a couple of Tigers. We'll hear from a couple of coaches. And obviously Marlon, Brandon, and Hunt, they do what they do. And so we'll get started here in just a little bit.
I'm so impressed that you got Gordy off the golf course long enough to do all of that, Chris. It's impressive, really. I mean, not just anybody can get Gordy off the golf course. So nice job there. Nice job.
Well, I think LSU helped us out. The day he played golf was incommunicado from the football team, so he really had no other option. Otherwise, yeah, it would have been hard.
You guys have a great call and a safe trip back, Chris. Thanks for everything all year.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, guys.
We'll take a break, come back, and wrap things up here for the flagship pregame show here at Rouse's. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Eagle 98.1.
Back here at Rouse's, getting you ready for LSU and Purdue. The Tigers a massive favorite today. Their team way more intact than Purdue's, and Purdue with a coaching staff that is a little bit scattered right now. So the Tigers better than a 2-touchdown favorite, and rightfully so. We'll see if they can put a bow on the 2022 season with a win today in Orlando. We'll be back 90 minutes past the end of LSU and Purdue. Former Tiger Richard Dixon will join me. We'll be back here at Rouse's. We'll also be monitoring the Rose Bowl. For Matt Musso and all of us here at Rouse's, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good morning. Enjoy the game. From Rouse's, this has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.